Hello and welcome to another video tutorial. In this video I'll be covering Storyteller 2018.5.2. Now I'm just going to switch back to my default layout, and I'm just going to open up the Storyteller project. So let's go to Tools, Diamango, Storyteller, and that gives us our Storyteller layout. The link manager is docked next to your hierarchy. If it's not open, it will just hover and you have to dock it manually. Now, this is our basic overview of the Storyteller. It's version 2018.5. It has a little contact email area here. It has a text tutorial which you can follow, and a link to the YouTube channel where you can find more tutorials, and this one included. Information area with the updates to the 2018.5 version, though there are more updates that aren't listed here. Let's close that. Now let's just take a look at the editor windows that we have. There's several editor windows dedicated to working with the Storyteller. Our link manager, our timeline, properties window, our story and info settings editor, our scenes, and of course the Storyteller, and several other editor windows which I'll be showing you. Now, just to make this simple, I'm just going to dock my link manager and my hierarchy next to each other right underneath the inspector properties. Just going to rescale the stuff here so it looks better. Alright, so you want to go ahead and create a story, right? Okay, simple. Head on over to your project folder, and let's scale this back. Let's see, I have a folder here called stories. This is where I want to put my stories. I'm just going to enter this folder, and there are two ways of creating stories. You can either right click inside of the folder you want to create a story in, go to create, Storyteller, and story. Let's hit escape to delete that. Or you can use the story creation dialog inside Storyteller itself. So with the stories folder selected, we can select the project type we wish to create: game, it's a story for a game, typical story, or storyboarding. This just means that all your dialogue and action nodes will be in text mode. Storyboard means that your action and dialogue nodes will be in storyboard mode and text mode simultaneously. Game mode means the opposite of storyboard mode, in a nutshell. So we're going to select game. I'm selecting game for a specific reason, to show you how we can, inside of Storyteller, jump back to storyboard mode. So I'm just gonna, firstly, I'm just gonna right click and go to create, Storyteller, story, call this my story. And then if I hit enter, you'll notice two things. A folder is going to be generated, a folder dedicated to our story, and we'll also enter into the Storyteller. So let's hit enter. Now I'll talk a little bit about the folder structure for the Storyteller. Whenever you create a new project, you'll see this folder created. Whenever you create a new project, you'll get a folder associated with that story. One for your audio files. These are where your voice recordings will go. And a second one for your character image files and environment files. Now let's take a look at the canvas here. I'm not gonna go over the creation of the story from inside of the, let me show you here. From inside of the story creation dialog, it's basically the same thing. You select the folder and you just click create, and your folders will be generated the same exact way. Alright, so again, this is in game mode. So if we were to just going to jump the gun a little bit, let's hit Control, left click, and we get a shortcut to create our nodes. If we create an action node, you'll notice that it has no text area on it. We'd have to click the down arrow here to get our text area. And if we want to do storyboarding, we have to open up this storyboard image area and select an image for our storyboard. Let me go ahead and just quickly create a character node here. Let me just grab an image for this. So here are two example two images that I just added, and let me just click on this little area here, which is for sound effects. So let's say we have this female chuckle. We select that. We select that from our audio selection window, and in our action node there's now a audio clip associated with it. So that's a sound effect associated with an action. Alright, so that's going a little bit too far. Let's go ahead and just delete this and start from the basics. Alright, so this is our canvas, and in the upper left you have a definition of our story, the scene that we're in, when it was last saved, and whether or not we're using auto connect node. Now just to break this down, scenes are inside of your story project, and you can have as many scenes as you want inside of your story. These scenes can represent various cutscenes, various character dialogues that you'll be having. Whatever you want it to be, you can just write them in your scenes. You can have as many scenes as you want. If we go into our scenes area, you can see that we can hit this plus button here to add as many scenes as we want. And if we double click on the name of the scene here, we can rename the scene, and we can select the scene and go straight to that scene. We can go back to the scene and enter into our previous scene. So it's called scene A. If you jump to this scene here, which we'll rename and call last scene, and we click it, we're now in last scene. We can hit shift back arrow to go to previous scenes, or we can hit shift forward arrow to go to the next scene. Now we're in the last scene currently, so if we hit shift forward, we end up jumping back to the first scene. Okay, let's go ahead and delete all of these scenes here. Alright, so now you're familiar with this. Now for saving, if you hit Shift S, you will save your story project. Auto connect node is something which I'll show you pretty soon. It's just used for making your nodes automatically connect when you create them. Alright, so this is your story. You want to write a story. So what's in a story? You have a character, the who. You have the why, which should be inside of your dialogue or action. You have your when, which would be in your timeline, which is timing. You have where, which would be in your environment. And you'd have how, which would be in the general flow of your entire chain of events. Okay, so let's right click, open up our context menu here. We have file, we can save, we can create a new project, or we can hit exit. Yeah, let's hit exit. If we hit exit, what's going to happen is that this folder, this file here, which is our temp story data, will be deleted. Now this is very important. If you're working in Storyteller and for some reason you accidentally close the Storyteller, then you don't have to worry about losing any data, because all that data is going to be cached inside of this temp story file here. So whenever you reopen Unity, the first thing that you'll see inside of Storyteller is where you left off. But if we hit exit, then we lose that data. Alright, so let's go to my stories here. Gotta select that. Sorry, there should have been a display for the projects there. I didn't see it. Just like that. Didn't see it there a moment ago. We'll check that out. Okay, anyways, let's continue. So this is our canvas and our grid. We can show and hide the grid. If we right click, go to display, we see show grid. And we see a list of shortcuts to the right side of the function name. So we can also show all of our node names and show product information, which is, of course, this information to the upper left. And I usually don't show the product information because I just like it being blank. All right, let me go ahead and show that grid again using the shortcut. Let's right click. We can go to make node and let's start creating some stuff. We want a character, we want an environment, we want the who, and we want the where. And that's a little bit slow, isn't it? To have to go into this menu every time we want to create a node. So there's a workaround. It's, again, you hit just Control, left click, you get the shortcut, and then you can begin creating your nodes. Now another thing that you'll notice here is that when we just created these nodes, we have to go back again, manually connect them, which can slow down the writing process. If you want to get something completed really quickly, let's just go ahead and use a shortcut to show that information again. We see auto connect node is off. If we go ahead and just turn that on, let's right click, go straight down to the bottom here and turn that on, or we can use a shortcut Control Alt A to turn it on and off. Now whatever node we've selected and whatever node we create, it's just going to get automatically attached to it. Now there are two ways of doing auto node connection. If you hit, let's go ahead and just turn this off. If we hit Control and forward, then that automatically pushes out a new node, which is the same type as the previous node, the one that we've connected to before, the one that we've selected before, and we'll create a duplicate of that and connect to it. So this allows you to write pretty quickly. So let's say we were in text mode. Let's go into text mode here. Sorry if I didn't show this before. I'll go back over it. If we're in text mode and we hit Control forward, we get a bunch of text areas and we can begin just writing in them pretty quickly. Now I'm just going to delete all of these by hitting Control Delete. And we can pan on the canvas by either holding down the middle mouse button and dragging, or pressing Alt and left clicking and then dragging. Now it might seem a little bit slow. It's because the screen recorder is really just killing the computer right now. And we can select a bunch of different nodes by hitting Shift and dragging. All right. Now we've created a character and we've created an environment here, and let's just delete this media node, Control Delete. Now we want more than just one character, right? We want 2, 3, 4 characters. We can just select this. Well, I'm not going to use the shortcut for character duplication, which is Control Shift D, because that interferes with the screen recorder. So I'm just going to do the easy way, the easier way. Okay, we'll still have auto connect node on. Okay, we need to turn that off. And I can't use Control Z now also because of the screen recorder. So I'm just going to Control Delete. All right. Oops, need to turn that off. Don't need to auto connect. All right, do it. Click create really fast. All right. I'm going to select this. Actually, I'm just going to go like this. It's in text mode. Pop them into text mode. Bring up this color picker. I'm going to give it a chaining color, which are usually used to mark your characters so you can easily recognize them instead of a long chain of events. Gonna select a character image here. Give our characters a face. Now for our environment here, we can give our environments a name. Let's say this is the park. Okay, this guy's in the park also, so let's select him, select his environment and say he's also in the park. So this brings up our link manager, and this allows us to link many things together. We can link environments together, we can link characters together, and it's quite powerful, as you'll come to see. So let's go ahead and link these characters together here. And Yeah, there we go. We have a very, very basic chain of events. Let's go ahead, select this action. Let's expand those. Let's go to our timeline here. And inside of our timeline, we can see these two actions. Let's go ahead and change our character interactions. Oh, but first, let's give them a name. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and just drag these out. And what we're doing here by dragging out these elements is changing our character's interactions. So this is Mary. If we select her, we get put her into focus. This is Mary. Let's go ahead and remove that image. Don't think I can use these images. I should record them. All right. These are two actions. This is called 3 action. Again, we can rename these if we want. I'll show you a little bit more about the properties window. We haven't even touched this yet. So for Mary here, this is her action. Let's see. She jumps, she does something. It's very basic. She jumps, and let's go ahead and stretch. Actually, let me just open out these here so that you can get a better idea. I'm going to open this out, and I'm also going to direct you to look at the properties window. So for every node that we select, the properties window shows us, of course, their properties. It shows us the type of node that we've selected, the name of the node, what environment this action or dialogue is in, what character does this thing or says this thing, the duration of the action or duration of the dialogue, the delay between the previous action or dialogue and this one. And we can change these from inside here. So by adding time to actions and dialogue, we actually add a new dimension to story writing, which is time. So you can actually now just see the past, the present, and future of your story, and then make changes to any part of it to change all of your characters' interactions without breaking the story itself. So as you can see here, everything remains the same. We change all the interactions here without breaking the story. This is just to get you up to speed with just the editor itself. I'm not going into anything in depth right now. I'll show you an example a little bit later on. All right, so now we've done a couple things. We've added our character image, we've set our chaining colors, we've linked our characters, we've checked out the various methods of connecting and creating nodes. We've looked at some of the functions inside the context menu. Let's quickly just take a look at a little bit more, and then we'll focus a little bit more on the properties window. All right, so here in this button here, it directs us to a list of windows. Again, this brings up our properties window, the story sampler editor, and when you open up Storyteller, most of these windows are already generated for you. But one that will probably pique your interest a little bit is the game bridge here, which you won't see open up for you, but I'm working on the game bridge, so I've left that in there. What you'll see is a message saying that the game bridge is still in development, but I'll give a little teaser of the game bridge now. So, oh, this is an older version of the game bridge. Okay, I'll show you a newer version a little bit later on. All right, let's just continue then. So inside the windows here, oh, that thing again. Inside the windows here, we can jump into help and information, which brings us to the main, the first window that you see when you open up Storyteller. And you can turn on don't show set startup if you want. I'll just leave that off. All right, if you go to the context menu, we have copy, cut, paste, and you have the shortcut keys next to it. We have reset pan, which is used to reset our panning in the canvas, so that we can always find our way back to the origin of the canvas itself. We have the group select again, which just allows us to select a bunch of nodes together, and we have to just make sure that we selected the entire top of the node itself so we can move it. All right. And then we can actually reset how many things we've actually captured inside that. And we can do it in any way, from bottom up, as you'd expect. All right, so right click and we have the rechain. So if you're working in Storyteller and for some reason it seems as if something doesn't look right inside of your timeline, you notice that maybe a node is not where it's supposed to be inside of your timeline, or your chaining colors aren't flowing, then you just right click and go to rechain. That will rechain all of your events together across multiple projects, multiple scenes I should say, sorry. You hit rechain all, which will rechain all of the events of all of your characters inside all of your scenes inside your project. Okay, so enough of this boring little example here. Let's delete this. Control delete. Let's do something fun. Let's try a dating sim. Let's see what a dating sim looks like in this. Let's right click. And it's going to be quite fun to show you this one. I'm going to also show you the canvas screenshot system, which you'll like. So let's right click. Let's go to Windows. And of course, we already brought up the properties, the story sample editor, the timeline, showing you the, well, it's the older game bridge, help and info. You've seen most of these. The one you haven't seen yet is the templates. So let's open up templates. Now, inside of your project right now, you can follow along with this. You can open up templates. You'll see dating sim and time loop. Let's select dating sim. I'm going to show you both of these. Let's hit use. And what this is going to do is generate a dating sim template for us with fully timed actions and dialogue. And then we'll look a little bit more into the properties tab. All right, so let's go ahead and just select our characters here. So we have two characters. We have Ayumi and Endo. So we can see that, well, I did post another video which explains the dating sim, and you can go ahead and just check that out. I wouldn't go into detail again on the dating sim since it would take up too much time. There's a full video on this same exact layout here. But what I'd like to show you here, for persons who have not seen that dating sim example, is just a brief summary of what I said in that, which is, as you'd expect from a dating sim, every action that your main character takes determines the outcome of the game itself. So let's take this character here. He wants to try to go on a date with this. Okay, let me just hide this information here. He wants to try and go on a date with Ayumi here. So every action that he takes here, he has to make a decision, and the decisions are in forms of routes. So he can either do this one or this one. If he chooses this particular route, he's at a dead end. The game ends for him here. If he chooses this route, then he has a bunch more choices to make again, which lead him to more routes again. Now, to put this in a nice summary for you, we could just do a canvas screenshot. Let me go right click. Let's go to display, show node names, so we can see all of our node names here. Let's right click and do canvas screenshot. Now this is going to generate, it's going to walk through our canvas and generate a complete screenshot of the entire dating sim. It's going to output that for us, and then I'm just going to show you the output so you can see the entire flow of the game, the entire chain of events, and all the paths that your character can take. So it tells us where this has been saved to. Let's just go ahead and find it. It's saved inside of our assets folder. So let's show that in Explorer here. Let me open up this image. And this image is quite large. Let's maximize it, and there we go. A nice, good resolution image of our entire canvas, the entire chain of events. All right, let's close that. Okay, so let's take a quick look at route nodes inside this dating sim, particularly this one. So this is his first decision. So he says, he calls her name, and then he has to now make a decision on what to now say to her. So we gave him a route and two options here. He can either ask her out on a date. I wonder how that's gonna go. Not so good, it seems. Or you can bring up a random topic. Now, if he brings up a random topic, then he has to choose what topic he wants to talk about here. So we select this route node, and now let's finally take a look at the properties editor. So again, we have the name of the route here, which we can change. So if we double click the name here, we can call this just some name, our thing. And it tells us the type of node we've selected as usual, the character whose route this is, the environment in which this happened, which is why environment nodes are so important, because they tell you where something happened. And also we have inside a route node, you'll notice that you'll see duration and delay in red. Routes don't have a duration or dialogue, just action nodes and dialogue nodes. So all other nodes will be in red here. It has an auto switch value and a route value, which I'll go through in the next scene, where we look at looping through time to create much deeper stories with time loops. All right, so we can see here in this route here that whatever node we connect to has these two little weird things on them. These are route switches. If we go ahead and select our timeline and we click this route switch, you'll notice that our entire story changes. So this is a simulation of what would happen in game. So let's say we're playing the game and he chooses this route, chooses to bring up a random topic. What would happen in game is this. Take a look at the timeline. All the options would change in game. So this is what you'd be looking at in game in your UI instead of this. And if we select the route and we take a look at the route value here, if we select this switch here, we see our route value changes. Now in programming, we usually count from 0 up, so that is why you see the route value set to 0. And your 0 route is the first node you've connected your route node to. The second one you connect to is equal to 1, and so on and so on. Let's switch this back to route 1. And that's essentially just it for route nodes. I'll give you a little bit more on route nodes as we move along inside the dating sim here. Actually, let's go about doing that right now. So the way we got both parts of the character's chain of events to change is that we linked our route nodes. Now, I'd mentioned before how important the link manager was. Let's see what happens when you select this link node here. So this is where she responds to his initial call, and this is where he makes a decision, and then she has to respond to that decision, and it has to match his the outputs, his responses. So if we select this route node here, we now see a bunch of different route nodes which we connect to. Now this our thing node, if you remember correctly, is the first decision our character had to make. You have to make a decision between asking her out on a date or bringing up a random topic. So we're going to link her route to his route. So whatever he chooses to do influences her response. Quite simple and straightforward. Now link nodes are very important when it comes to doing time loops, but here in the dating sim, it's just a node that's used to link nodes across a large distance, so that we don't have stringing across our canvas, which would look really ugly. All right, so just gonna move along here. Yeah, that's really just the basic setup of our entire dating sim. One of the things that we could do instead of using text, we could just go crazy here. Let's do this. We could add sound effects. So let's see, where's an action here? Let's do this. Let me just, let's say she laughs at him. So he says, select this, see what that's connected to. Oh, that's the first one. Very good. All right, so he asks her out on a date and her response is going to be to laugh. So let's go ahead and add this audio effect here, a female chuckle. So she's going to laugh at him. And I'm going to play this through for you. So I'm going to add a media node. So I'm going to hit the play button and I'm going to play it back for you. So let's ensure that our laugh duration is going to be our action here. Duration is going to be the same length as the laugh audio clip. So I'm going to go to the store and info settings here, and I'm going to select use audio clip length. You know, actually I should be adding the media node to her since we want to hear her laugh. Let's go ahead and create a new media node here. I'm going to play through her chain of events so that we can hear what she's saying. And there we go. So right at this point, she's going to laugh and you're going to hear it. All right, so there we go. And you'll notice that it all went through pretty quickly. And that's because when it comes to a dating sim, the duration between the nodes don't actually matter. So we could very well just do this. We could very well just put all these nodes right up next to each other, and it will not affect the produced result for the game itself, because it's up to the player to decide when he actually makes a choice, and that's the delay between the actions and dialogue. Alright, and if we play through the main character's chain of events, we won't actually hear her laugh because we're sampling his chain of events, not hers. So we'll see what he's doing, but we won't see what she or hear what we won't see or hear what she's doing. And you'll notice that this just ended here. It ended at the perfect place. It ended right here. So that's game over for him. So that's where it ended. All right, let me just create a new scene here. Right click, go to window, go to templates, select time loop, hit use, and you'll see a description for time loop there. Now a quick description of the time loops. Now, time loops are a really efficient way of, well, having your characters move through time without breaking a story. Well, I'm just going to delete this example and recreate it for you. Control delete. So first, let's go ahead and create a character. And just for fun, we're going to link this character to our other character. Let's say it's Indo again. We're going to put him through hell. Sorry, so the next thing that we're going to do here, we're going to create an environment, and let's see what other environments. Yeah, let's put him back in the restaurant. So he keeps his changing color. And by right, you really should have kept the color there, but oh well. So when you change the color here, you won't see it update the node because, of course, the child object, the parent object, however, controls the color. So whatever color the parent object has, I should change it to something different, shouldn't I? Whatever color the parent object has, the child object has, and you can't set the color again here. But maybe I should allow you to do that. It would be interesting. All right, environment, and the next thing that we want to do here is go ahead and just create an action node. Yeah, the screen code is really starting to kill it. And I'm just going to make a media node here. I'll link it up to this. I'm going to start this off really quick. I should have used auto connect nodes. Oh well. No, I will. Link node. All right, and then let's turn off auto connect. Let's make another link node here. Let's double click on the switch value, switch icon here to turn this node into an output node, and let's connect it. And there we go. Now again, we're going to make use of the link manager, this time for link nodes. So let's click the link value here, and let's select our node to link to. So we want to link this node here with this one so that we complete a time loop. Now you have to be careful with this one, because if we go ahead and rechain right now, we'll cause a stack overflow, because of course we're pushing data through the nodes and we're looping over and over and over and over again, but we haven't provided a way for the character to escape the time loop. So we're basically, as I said from at the beginning, putting him through hell. If we went ahead and rechained it, he'd be stuck in a time loop forever. All right, so we're gonna spare him. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna give him a way out. We're gonna turn on the loop here. We're gonna select the link node, and our trusty properties tab is gonna allow us to select a escape route for endo here. So once we select our link node, if we're using a looping, then we're gonna be able to select a route here. And again, route nodes are very powerful here, because if we go ahead and select a route, then what this means is that now that we loop through, we now have an escape route, which is here. Instead of coming down here all the time, we can now go up here. So let's go ahead and just set the main route to this one, so we know to loop through it. And just setting the route alone isn't enough. Once we select which route node, we then have to tell the route node that we want it to auto switch. So what this means is that when we select this link node here, whenever we loop through, if we loop through once or twice, then on the second time we loop through, we want to switch to this route and then escape the loop. So inside the link node here, we're going to want to tell the link node how many times we want to loop through. So we're just going to loop through this, I think twice. Let's do it twice. So I'm going to double click the value and then set it to 2. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select our route node here and let's set an escape route. So we're currently set to route 1, which is the second node, that we connected to. So I think we could just go ahead and begin looping through now. So I'm just going to hit play. And we loop through once, loop through twice, switch, and done. So as you can see here, we just looped through this twice, and then we came up here and we escaped the route, and then we moved on. All right, so let me just, and that's really all it takes to create your time loops. And as I mentioned before, for route nodes in particular, they're actually quite powerful. So if we select this route node here to link it, we get shown a list of all the nodes inside of our project. So if we select this rthing node, if you remember, that's the first decision our character endo makes. Let's just go back here. And we can see that he's now linked. So if we go ahead and we change the route from here, and we go back to this scene, let's go ahead and select this. We see that the route, well, let's switch it back here for you. Let's go here. We can see that the route is now switched to this one. If we switch down here, We just come back over here, we see that the route has now switched to this one. So now your characters not only influence their own scene, but a decision a character makes in one scene can influence the outcome of every single scene in your story. All right, so this covers the dating sim example and the time loops. I could go through creating an entire, hold on, let me see, just do it here if I have time. I could go over creating an entire game flow diagram, which would be outlining every possible route and action a character could take in your game. Or you can write up your cutscenes if you want in this. You can document all of those if you want. If you're creating content for game, just like the dating sim example here, or quests, then you'd write a quest in a similar way with the character interactions, and then from there the game bridge would take that information, pass it into the scene, and then the game bridge trigger manager would determine when each action and event is called. All right, so that's it for this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos.